Question number 1.
All right, here's question number 1. What do you understand by the term economic upturn?
I think an economic upturn occurs when a country has many goods that are in demand, so the country can become richer by selling these goods, and companies hire more people to make the goods, and people have more money to spend. I think like that.
That's a solid answer. You explained the idea clearly. Just a couple of tips to make it sound a bit more natural. Instead of saying the country can become richer, you could say the economy grows or the country experiences economic growth. Also, many goods that are in demand is good, but a smoother phrase might be high demand for its products. So a more natural version could be, I think an economic upturn happens when there's high demand for a country's products, so the economy grows. Companies hire more people, and people have more money to spend. Now, a quick follow-up question. Do you think technology companies also grow during an economic upturn? Why or why not?
Now, move on to question number 2.
Got it. Here's question number 2. Can you give an example of a time when your country experienced an economic upturn or growth?
I think Indonesia experienced an economic upturn in 2022. At that time, economic growth reached 5.31% after the pandemic, and the lifting of social restriction and the high export prices of commodities such as coal and palm oil were the drivers that brought the national economy.
Nice. That was a strong explanation, and your ideas were clear. I'll help smooth it out into more natural English and fix a couple of small vocabulary mix-ups. Instead of coal, I think you meant coal. And minyak ayam might be a small slip. It's probably minyak sawit, or palm oil in English. Also, peningkatan restriksi sosial sounds like you meant the restrictions were being lifted. Here's a more natural version of your answer in English. I think Indonesia experienced economic growth in 2022. At that time, the growth rate reached 5.31% after the pandemic. The lifting of social restrictions and high export prices for commodities like coal and palm oil helped drive the national economy. Want to try saying that version out loud? Or should we move on to question number 3?
Let's move on to question number 3.
All right. Here's question number 3. What industries do you think grow the fastest during an economic upturn?
During the economic upturn, I think industries that usually grow the fastest are technology innovations, such as electric vehicle and semiconductor, I think.
Good start. I got what you meant, and the idea is solid. Here's a smoother and more natural way to say it. During an economic upturn, I think industries that usually grow fast include technology innovation, like electric vehicles. You could also add a bit more detail if you want, like why you think electric vehicles grow during a strong economy. Quick follow-up. Besides electric vehicles, are there any other industries you think benefit a lot when the economy is strong?
Okay, now start question number 4.
All right, here's question number 4. What are some signs that a country is experiencing an economic downturn?
Maybe like decline GDP growth, rising unemployment, decline production and consumption activity, and reduce investment.
Nice, great use of economic terms. Your points are spot on. To make it flow more naturally, you could turn it into a full sentence like this. Some signs of an economic downturn include slower GDP growth, rising unemployment, lower production and consumption, and reduced investment. Sounds pretty professional, actually. Do you think people feel those signs in daily life, or are they mostly seen in news reports and data?
Now start question number 5.
All right, here's question number 5. In your opinion, what causes an economy to go into a downturn?
Factors that can cause an economic downturn range from financial crisis, pandemics maybe, like Indonesia, and natural disaster.
Great ideas. You're on the right track. Just a few tweaks to make it sound smoother in English. Factors that can cause an economic downturn include a series of financial crises, a pandemic, like what happened in Indonesia, and natural disasters. Nice job using like Indonesia as an example. That gives it context. Want to add more details on how a pandemic affects the economy? Or should we keep going to question number 6?
Keep going to question number 6.
Okay, here's question number 6. How does a downturn affect everyday people in your country?
Many people losing their jobs and
All right, take care. If you ever want to continue, just hop back in.
people losing their jobs or their income is decreasing, and they start to cut back on spending, are more careful how to spend their money.
That's a clear answer. Nicely said. Just a couple of adjustments to make it smoother in English.
Okay.
People lose their jobs or their income goes down, and they start to spend more carefully. You could also say they become more cautious with their money for a slightly more natural feel. Do you notice this kind of cautious spending happening around you when the economy isn't doing well?
Okay. Let's move on to question number 7.
Sure. Here's question number 7. What can a government do to help the economy during a downturn?
I think the government can provide cash assistance, lower tax, lower interest rate, and the aim of
Got it. I see what you were going for. I think you meant something like this. I think the government can give cash assistance, provide subsidies, and lower interest rates. You mentioned textur renda, which probably meant subsidy, or maybe bantuan harga. And ratus kepentingan renda sounds like suku bunga renda, or low interest rates. Nice effort. Want to add more about how those actions help people or businesses? Or are you ready for question number 8?
Okay, let's start question number X.
All right, here's question number 8. How do people's spending habits change during an economic downturn?
People only focus on basic necessities like food, and money turn to cheaper products and discounts and avoid non-essential spending. I think like that.
That's a really clear and thoughtful answer. Here's a smoother version in English. People focus only on basic needs like food and money, choose cheaper products and discounts, and avoid unnecessary spending. You could also say essentials instead of basic needs to sound a bit more natural.
Let's start question number 9.
Sure. Here's question number 9. What is a trade war, and how is it related to Donald Trump's tariffs?
Trade wars is as trade tariff in rate.
Could you explain what you meant by at worst it is? Did you mean a trade war is a bad situation? Or were you trying to say something else?
Trade war is condition where countries raise trade tariff to each other, and Donald Trump has triggered trade wars by high tariff on import goods from countries like China.
Ah, I see where you're going. You meant perang dagang, which in English is trade war, and tariff means tariffs. Here's a clearer version in English. A trade war is a situation where countries raise tariffs on each other's goods. Donald Trump started a trade war by increasing tariffs on products from other countries, especially China. You explained the concept well. Do you think those tariffs helped or hurt the U.S. economy?
Okay, I think let's move on to question number 10.
Sure thing. Just checking. Did you mean question number 10? We already did number 2 earlier.
Number 10.
Yes thing. Tuni system was me sis. The does general fire birth through third.
Can you repeat question number 10?
Got it. Here's question number 10. Do you think Donald Trump's tariff policies were successful? Explain your opinion.
My opinion. I think Donald Trump tariffs policy is still the bad. The policies may have helped some sector of American industry, and however, many businesses believe that the tariff are maybe disadvantage to consumer.
Nice job giving both sides of the argument. Here's a more natural version of what you said. I think Donald Trump's tariff policy had some benefits. The policies may have helped certain sectors of American industry. However, many businesses believe the tariffs were harmful. You balanced your opinion well. If you want to add more, you could say which industries benefited or which ones were hurt.